Hi, everybody. This is the Sonhonkettt podcast. I believe this is the third episode or second. Well, anyhow, this is going to be the last one because I know it's sad, but Sonhonkettt is about to come to an end.
Boo.
Meh. But for the short time we have today, we're going to talk about the puppet comedy townie web series Sonhonkettt. Sonk that honk. So I'll give a brief history of the show. So starting in 2008, I just had this idea of I needed to create a show about Massachusetts townies. I think one of my inspirations was of the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which is on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. If you don't know what that show's about, it's very surreal. It's these anthropomorphized characters, a French fry carton, a milkshake, and a meatball. They live in this dumpy house in central Jersey. Their neighbor's this schlubby New Jersey guy named Carl. And it's that world intersecting the 1980s style of animation, limited animation, just kind of the action-packed sort of like He-Man sort of thing. So you have these crazy villains, but was like hilarious is they just got normal guys. I think at the Adult Swim network, they just pulled people to voice the characters, not putting on a voice.
Yeah.
Just you have this menace robot, transformer thing, just talking like Chuck in accounting. But that show did a good job with it wasn't the primary focus, but commenting on kind of regular people in New Jersey. And I wanted to take that but kind of pump it up, that thing up, the townie thing up, with my own show with Massachusetts townies. I also saw a picture in a Boston Globe article of a townie sitting on a car in a junkyard in Dorchester. And that photograph just is the most important photograph I've ever seen. It had such an impact on me. It captured the psyche and soul of townie so well. And that just helped me come up with this idea of Sonhonkettt. And that specific person probably gave me the inspiration for creating Charlie Nolan.
So he was basically your tank guy, the Tiananmen Square tank guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then Charlene from Revere. But then I stopped for about 8 months, and it wasn't until 2009 is when I started to make puppets completely. I made puppets for years before that, but I never would finish them. I think because of my anxiety disorders, I would hit a wall because I was in terror of this is not a good enough puppet. But I decided this is my life, puppets, telling stories. I just need to cross that threshold and stop being afraid. And so I made puppets and other inspirations like Fraggle Rock, which was created by the Jim Henson Network in the 80s. Fantasy show with different races of peoples, the Fraggles, the Doozers, the Gorgs, and humans. They live in their own worlds, but they kind of interact with each other, and I looked at that as kind of a social ecology. And if you don't know, I originally, career-wise, wanted to be an ecologist, but I decided art was what my true calling was, and I just kept, making puppets, and I created a puppetry club when I attended art school. And as time went by with that puppetry club, which only lasted 6-7 months, people said, you feel very strongly about this townie thing. You should just create a show about that. So, yeah, that was in the summer of 2012. I needed to make more puppets for that show, so I did. And then the summer of 2013 I'm going to art school for a degree, and I was planning to go maybe I'll find a job in the special effects industry in LA or New York. But it hit me I really like this townie concept. I'm going to go for it. When I graduate, I'm not going to move to LA or New York. I'm just going to stay here and somehow make it work.
You're like the mass art anti-hero,
Yeah. And so I did, and I remember I don't have much training in a lot of video production things. I learned sewing from my mother, and I studied sculpture at art school. But the video thing was something it was just guess and check for many years. But yeah, I started. It's been 2013, and it's been 10 and a half, or it's been 10 years of filming, and 10 and a half years of just committing to the show, and that comes with a whole history. There's a 400-year-old history. The town Sonhonkettt takes place with the Rumney Marshes in Revere and Saugus, which is just right outside of Boston. I grew up in the North Shore of Boston, and towny culture for me is what I was brought up around. I feel that there's something to say about it. It's a very unique world. There's no other place like Massachusetts, and this show needed to act as anthropological archiving. I felt in my soul that it needed to be documented because of its uniqueness and importance to me, and also with globalization, everything is beginning to water down / disappear in terms of like cultural distinctiveness. So I figure I need to like jump on that before I feel like everything is just bland.
And I mean, you see the stereotypes, like the Boston accent has gotten very popular in media over the last 15 years or so, thanks to the greats, Ben Affleck, Mark Wahlberg, but it almost ends at that, So you have to take into account like the nitty gritty of it all, not just the pretty boys that make it out. So I think that's where you come in beautifully.
Yeah, and this is James Grant, by the way. He
Hello.
puppeteered for a number of years of Sonhonkettt, did Squeaks, Ronnie,
Yeah.
a couple other characters.
Anybody with a little bit of hope that should not have had it.
But yeah, I wanted to show as much as I could, the backstory of what it is to be a townie, the spectrum of the fall into townie world. Yeah, because TV and television was kind of limited. Now it's a lot more. The Boston thing became this kind of trend, and
it's a trope at this point.
At this point, it's a trope. So I never banked on that. For me, it was all about humor, art, anthropological documentation. Though I did in the early days from 2000 and actually most of the time, 2013 to 2020, thinking, oh, maybe I could bank on if you want townie entertainment, come to us. But with the rise of social media content creation and consumption, yeah, there is a lot of, I don't want to come off as mean or bitter, but there is a lot of just kind of...
Go off, King.
Just very kind of hacky, kind of just surface level. Just playing into the tropes. They're just very blah.
It's an easy thing to do. My day job is that I work in a restaurant as a waiter, and the amount of times I'll pull the Boston accent out just to get an extra couple bucks on a tip or make a joke, just to get that extra laugh to get me through my day. It works as much as I'm not happy with myself.
Yeah, there's one account I saw, and it's this guy, he's just bent over smoking a cigarette, playing a townie character. It's ultimately, I think it's just kind of shitty. I don't want to come off as the self-righteous social progressive, but it is shitty. But more important, it's missing entire picture.
Yeah, it's surface level.
Yeah, it's surface level, and I didn't want to do that at all. And so Sonhonkettt, it's also psychological exploration. I go into the psychology of each character as much as possible. I work on their backstories to... First of all, that just gives them depth, but also it's very real. All this stuff is base any of my characters off of one specific person, but I do base off of people that fall under a certain demographic spectrum. And you see that with Charlene, who's addicted to chaos, and almost gets... She's almost there in terms of achieving success, but chaos is just too addictive. In the moment, she gets right up to the edge and decides just to run back.
She constantly gets in her own way.
Yeah. And if you want to succeed, you can't get your own way. But she's also a very confident person and just doesn't put up with fucking shit.
Which is why I love her.
Yeah, and there's Dottie, the kind of the working class grunt. An alcoholic that's sober, but she's really just a dry drunk. You know, she is a victim of tragedy. Her dear husband Robert got arrested for paper hanging. That's running fake checks and debit card fraud. He gets sent to Concord jail, but then he was holding a tray, his lunch tray. Somebody, as a joke, threw some pudding in front of him. He slipped on it. He had the fork in his hand and he fell, but as he was trying to catch himself, the fork in his hand went into someone's eye and into their brain.
Ooh.
And they died. So he got, so he had to go back into the court system again, got charged with homicide. Because, the prison guard just hated him personally because they grew up both together in Charlestown and he sold his brother, a mediocre bag of weed once.
Oh, so he deserves everything that comes to him.
Yeah. So Robert McGarvey is now doing time.
By the way, Saint on
Walpole, Earth. Yeah. Oh yeah, Saint on Earth. In Walpole, which is now known as Cedar Junction. They gave it a retirement home name.
I was just gonna say, fancy. Is that where Epstein hung himself? Sorry.
Yeah, the worst of the worst in New England gets sent to Walpole Prison on the South Shore. So yeah, there's this is where I think James and I bonded. When you mention Walpole, townies like us, I just always go to prison.
Two things come up.
Yeah, and it's other people oh, that's a South Shore town, but that's what I know. You're on the townie tribe with me or you're not. If you say oh, he was, did his time in Walpole. Is if you think prison, then you understand me. You understand Sonhonkettt.
Exactly. Same thing with, specifically for me, just because I grew up more toward that area. I hear Bill Ricca, and I'm just oh, he did a month.
So I was on the bus once, and I was waiting. I was at Wonderland, and there was this chick who looked like Chelsea, one of Charlene's friends. So yeah, Charlene has two kind of supporting friends. They're there for her. Unfortunately, she's not the most supportive to them. Chelsea and Lynn, named after the two lovely North Shore cities.
Yep. And to be fair, Lynn just won't shut the fuck up.
Fucking Lynn. Open the fucking window.
Open the fucking window. No, yeah, that's hilarious. No, but the truth of that is, to be a local townie in this area, you're probably not a quiet person. And if you are, that's almost unheard of.
Yeah, but to get back to, this chick by the bus stop looked like Chelsea from Sonhonkettt. She had to be in her late 20s, but she talked like Dottie.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she was really hitting those Marlboro Reds. But she was going on about, she was originally from Charlestown, but spent most of her life in Winthrop, and now she lives in Lynn, which is like a townie pipeline, if you want to know.
How long were you on the bus with her?
That was just waiting for the bus. That was before we got on the bus.
I love it.
And then she was talking about her brother, and her brother did time in jail prison, but she said, she goes yeah, my brother started a race ride in Billerica.
So she was a hit.
Yeah. Being on the 442 bus going through Lynn, definitely hours on that bus. Yeah, it just gave me a lot of material for the show.
Oh, I bet. Just being around, just hang out. Just in the greater Boston area, just hang out in one spot for 20 minutes. You'll find some inspiration.
You have to find the right spots, but yeah, for me it was working for a sewage removal company based out of Salem. And yeah, we would go to the Kodak gelatin plant in Peabody, which now is shut down, but so yeah.
I know you're not making that up. But every year I learn about a new warehouse or plant that's shut down in the area.
And we would drive into it because, so how do you get gelatin for film is you get it from livestock bones. You have to put the livestock bones and the cattle bones into a vat of acid, and then that boils it, but then all the jelly goes up. But then what's left is this dry, crusty gray crap. So we had to like go in there.
My wife.
We like walked into this dark building with it's just pipes. There's no windows, and this little like towny guy, just like a construction hat. He was essentially like a little mole man, like just directing us like where to go into this pit. We brought the tube that was connected to the truck, and we just had to suck it up. And I had to take broomsticks and just hit the inside the vat to break up this gray shit to suck it in.
Honestly, breaking stuff up with a broom handle is a rite of passage.
Yeah, whether it be materials or people's skulls.
No, exactly. You got to put your time in though, pay your dues.
And then we would dump it on the lot in the back, because Peabody is known as Tanner City. It was famous for its tanneries, but of course all those tanneries dumped God knows what, and that created a lot of cancer. Yeah, moving that hazardous waste, you just have to leave it on the lot. So yeah, we just dumped that shit in the woods.
Don't buy local in Peabody.
And mind you, this company my uncle used to work for.
Wait, what?
My mother's brother, he used to work for them. He died in '98, but yeah, they had stores. They bought like sandwiches once, like subs. And he had one, they had a bunch, and he just decided, he just took them and threw them in the ditch. Yeah, I know. And mind you, he's a fat guy too.
But he knew though.
he just did it, and my
Called
coworker
intuition.
at the time was working what the fuck, Mackesy?
Just looking out for the friends.
He was also, there used to be a tram track that ran on Lafayette Street, and right at the Marblehead Salem border there was a little bridge. Yeah, they ripped it out and they're supposed to fill it, but he pulled the wrong lever at the wrong time, and just all this gravel a huge just dumped and blocked that road.
Oof.
Yeah, he also got fired the first day at the sand pit, in Charlestown around the highway. Yeah,
he got fired from the sand pit.
Yeah, it was cement. He unloaded the cement, and it just poured out in this huge pile. It was so he was banned from that.
But good. Also, well, that ends well.
Yeah. Yeah, Uncle A was in his own little world, and he was a truck driver, and made a lot of knucklehead mistakes, but also very just opinionated, trying to do the driving test. He would go into the wrong bay, but he would blame the guy and call him a dumb guinea.
Of course.
Yeah.
When in doubt, blame the Italians. We've all been there.
So you get a taste of towny world.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But so Dottie, get back to her. Yeah, she has this son named Tommy McGarvey who struggled with losing his dad and having to leave Charlestown to move to Sonhonkettt. And he had these big dreams of being a fireman, but his cousin, who's a cop, Donnie, inadvertently fucked up his. I'll get into the backstory maybe another day. Prevented him from being one. Yeah, he just developed this angst against firemen, and that was his angle. Because he was trying to get into the rap game as well, and struggled with that. So he figured NWA says fuck the police, I'll say fuck the firemen. And that is a commentary on being an asinine contrarian. I just want to make that perfectly clear.
I was going to say, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to say it, man.
So that's capturing kind of the stupidity of the world that we're in. People kind of not taking accountability of their own personal issues and saying just kind of nonsensical stuff like James and I were talking today. Yeah, the new conspiracy theory now is there's no Helen Keller. She never existed.
Yep. I wish I even had a comment on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I predicted this in 2014, 2013, and Yeah, by the pandemic, I don't know, the whatever, all the weird things about the vaccine and 5G giving you COVID and
Well, Kyle.
yeah. I know, I'm a layman in this. Sorry,
Kyle.
I haven't been educated in the ignorance.
Look, the 5G doesn't give you COVID. The COVID activates the 5G.
Pardon me.
And we become zombies. Or something.
But anyway, that's where he started. I just want to make clear, like, that was about capturing how people have turned into asinine contrarians, people coming from a place of ignorance and kind of frustration with their own lives and then feeling they can spout any sort of nonsense. Now, this didn't work, so he went after the Sonking Marsh Witch, which, now that's open to debate whether she's real or not real.
That is true. I'm a believer. But at the same time, drugs were a factor.
Yeah.
But the history is interesting, too.
Yeah, so I brought her in. Sonhonkettt was established, the Rumney Marsh, in 1630. It was sectioned off as Indian territory, and of course that was, that treaty got violated, so we had all these English settlers setting up shop there. But there was a smallpox outbreak on the North Shore, and the town of Boston was fed up with the North Shore towns sending all their sick through Boston to go out to the marshes and the South Shore. They kind of live their lives in isolation. So Boston quarantined the Rumney Marsh. And that kind of set the tone of, like, yeah, kind of the craziness that towny world can be. So quarantine started, right at 1690, 1691, at the same time that the Salem witch trials were going on. And I needed to incorporate the Salem witch trials thing into, like, me trying to capture this North Shore thing. And it also just added, part of New England culture is the folklore, which people kind of forget about. So I wanted to just kind of, like, touch on that stuff. So yeah, with her, and you can find out more about this last year. It's the first of a 4-part series called The Shift. So the first part explains the mythology of the Sonking Marsh Witch and why she became who she became. I'm not going to state that now. You can just go to that episode. It's number 70 something, but yeah, it's the Shift Part 1. You can find more about the Sonking Marsh Witch. But anywho, Tommy, mission is he's going to finally leave his mother. He's going to move out to the marsh, and he's going to go hunt the Sonking Marsh Witch. So he creates his rap identity around that. And to help him out, especially because he's out in the marsh, he's doing, the Lord's work.
Absolutely.
So, like, he has to delegate his marketing to Squeaks.
Yeah. Marketing, quote unquote. Well.
So James played Squeaks, yeah.
Sorry, just even picturing Squeaks just leaves me speechless. Squeaks is a parasite, but a very hard-working one with a heart of gold. Tommy has been his best friend for years, right?
Yeah, since he moved to Sonhonkettt.
There you go. And first of all, Squeaks was born in a wall. I think it was a trailer park.
No, it's in the McCluskey housing projects.
Yeah. Yes.
He was only discovered by the neighbor's cat. Like the neighbor's cat. I think it's the neighbor's cat that put him in the wall because his parents went out
dragged him in there.
No, his parents went out for some hood milk and ciggies and God knows what else, and they got into some little adventures. In that time, the neighbor's cat came in and like dragged him in with her kittens into the wall. And it wasn't like
so it's like the old raised by wolves thing. He was like
for
almost
like
raised
for,
by
for,
kittens.
for like 4 days.
But still,
his
that
first 4 days.
obviously had an impact on him.
He wasn't, and then the mother decided to kick him out.
Yep. But long story short, with Squeaks is that loves hip hop. He became a promoter, beat maker, DJ, part-time rapper, and basically just followed Tommy the 617 Rage around and helped give him an identity, really, from what I can gather. And when Tommy finally ventured out into the marsh, Squeaks kind of had to take the reins. He had to bring home the bacon or the hot fries, depending on the day. And Squeaks is, I don't certain words I could use, but he's not all there. Let's put it that way. He's missing probably half his brain, but I think he's fully left-brained, if anything. But he knows how to hustle. He has 8 jobs or so, depending on the season.
Yeah, he knows his street corners when it comes to getting cigs.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, he is like the rat of Sonhonkettt, and not like a fucking rat. No, he's not a snitch, but he knows the passages, he knows the tunnels, he knows the corners, the alleys, he knows where everyone lives. He knows who leaves their windows open.
Yeah, because Tommy's idea was to make money, was to like steal from mistake away tattoo removers, the machine that gets rid of your tattoos. They were going to pawn it.
To start his own side.
No, he was going to pawn it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But Squeaks knew he knew like what day and time they would like leave their back door open.
Yeah. So, Squeaks is basically like runs off intuition, for better or worse, He's just been around. But yeah, his uncle too, Ronnie.
Oh yeah.
I think had a pretty good impact on him as well. Still musical. He's probably the one that got him into music, if anything.
Oh,
if I had to guess. And Ronnie's I don't want to call him a failed DJ because he was arguably a DJ to begin with.
Yeah, he excelled at being an intern at Sonhonkettt Radio doing his show 107.8 The Marsh for 33 years, sorry.
Wow. Not to mention odd jobs and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Working at the corner spa.
Yeah, Schnozzles, corner spa.
But just to circle this all back too, though, that is one of the like inner demographics of it. There is like the music community. I don't think I've ever put it that way, but like
yeah, there's a lot of music on the show. Tommy's just kind of like he's very insecure about his masculinity, and like a lot of those men, he has to really amp it up, especially from being the city. He has to rep Seatown pretty hard.
Absolutely. Well, when did he move? How old was he?
He was 12.
12? Oh my God. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah. The trauma's real, so.
Yeah, I guess like back to the war, like what you were mentioning is that nobody's sure if the witch is real, and Tommy did go out on a witch hunt, quite literally, and went missing,
Yeah, they say like Sonhonkettt Boulevard, which is only 2 miles long, but it has 7 roundabouts. That's because of the Sonking Marsh Witch, because she's a seductress, but not in a sexual way, but in a motherly way. So mayors that have mother issues, she like.
Well, this also brings us back to Dottie, Tommy's mother, who has the body of a pit bull and the head of an AA woman, always smoking a cigarette. Or not
smoking, it's
not
just
smoking.
hanging
It's
off
there.
the
That's
lip.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Wow, I guess I never asked.
Because she is sober, but she still has to have it. It's like
we've all met the guy who just has a cigarette in his mouth,
just delicately, precariously, just doing the dance. You may not see him move, but it is a dance.
No, exactly.
You got to respect that dance.
He is a practice.
Yes, because it's like like those townies like Dottie are themselves like an opera house. Their entire life is this like 3-act play.
Just this tragedy. In this case, hilarious tragedy, but yeah, she represents mommy to Tommy, so obviously it all comes together for him.
Mommy and daddy, but also Dottie's just in a place of pure anger and doesn't know how to deal with it, because she did have a tough life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the McLaughlins were fighting with the Winter Hill Gang in the 60s, and they would do car bombs. People forget there was a lot of car bombing up to the 80s in Boston, and one blew up near her triple-decker, and she flew up and landed on Bunker Hill Monument, and she was stuck there for 3 days. And ever since, it's just how can you like not be angry?
I'm seething right now just hearing this.
Bunker Hill Monument is an obelisk if you're not familiar with Boston.
Yeah. Not the not to be confused with Benny Hill Clown College.
Yeah.
As my uncle's called Bunker Hill Community College.
Or this one old townie went to an AA meeting referred to as the school for the mentally retarded.
Hey, I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah.
I've dropped out 5 times.
Yeah.
Set a record. But yeah.
Yeah. So Dottie, you can see it like she's always washing the walls of the house.
Yeah, there's like 7 skits where she's washing the walls.
She just kind of, and she just embraces kind of like just kind of the gruesome, the gruesomeness. What is, the pedestrian life.
Especially of sober living too.
Yeah, not just like through her own kind of blue collar background, but just living. I mean, because she's a dry drunk. She hasn't truly. Because so there's a trifecta of alcoholism in Sonhonkettt.
Would you say a Venn diagram?
Yeah, there's a Venn. So like at the bottom is like Charlie, who's not sober. He's drunk, but yeah, he he never gets written up for a DUI because Donnie, the cop on the show, like he lives in one of the triple deckers that Charlie Nolan inherited and gives him, nice rent. So
awesome.
Yeah,
it's not a problem for anybody except the probably dozen people he's crashed his truck into.
Yeah, the So Don't Die bar. Yeah, Tommy's been hit. Scups has been hit. Charlene just got hit in the last episode.
Yeah, I saw.
But he's okay. Charlie's mentally he's fine. Then there's Scups.
The moment I've been waiting for.
Scuffs is half man, half cod, and this is explained in several times, but clearly in 2022. There's a skit I released in April of 2022. I think it's number 68 or 69. It's in the lights, maybe 67. Skit number 67 came up in April of 2022. But yeah, so his father's from the Azores in Portugal and came to Gloucester to find some work, and it was lonely out at sea, and yeah, so he had his wife with a cod. That would be the mother of Scups, and Scups eventually, that mother was released back into the Atlantic Ocean. Scups came to be, and Scups would swim up to his boat and call for his papa, because he knew where like the mackerel and pollock schooled, and his dad just didn't want any of it, just ignored him, and that rejection just hit like it was like a gutting knife, just in there deep, and thus Scups decided to crawl up onto the shore. He found an abandoned van, and there's nothing else he could do but peddle fish. So he's living this conflicted existence where he's peddling his own kind.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is just manic depression.
Manifest, yeah.
And thus he drinks like a fish.
Hey.
So he's got like the mental, spiritual, and physical issues that encompass alcoholism, deprivation, yeah.
He is, correct me if I'm wrong, he is like a sweet guy, I believe. Even with the horrible depression and the feelings of loneliness I feel after seeing Scuffs, he makes me feel human, you know what I mean? Like, I've never related to a fish before. Like, granted, he is half Portuguese, but...
Unfortunately, he's half Portuguese.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, guys, but sorry to disappoint. But, yeah, sweet guy. He's maybe Portuguese, but he's no man o' war.
We're all about those biology puns here.
That was the only one I had.
Good job.
Shout out retarded shark.
James is holding the retarded shark, a creature, a character he created.
I forgot the exact conversation. I was just having a conversation, funny enough, with my boss once. I was like, you know what'd be funny? if Jaws was retarded and sang his own theme song. And thus the retarded shark was born. The, whole orchestra.
And you can find that in the same skit that where Scups' backstory is explained.
Yep.
I forget the name of the skit, but it was released in 2022.
I just watched it yesterday. I forgot the name.
Oh yeah, and then we brought up the retired shark in the last skit.
I noticed that. The retired shark. I love that. That's just basic, pure, momentary comedy. Just a nice callback.
Yeah, Scups has a lot of humanity. He is a good person. He's just. I kind of wanted to show this in Sonhonkettt. Like, it's easy to dismiss people for being whatever you want to call them, a fuck up, problematic,
a loser,
criminal, a loser. But a lot of it, just people are just they were dealt with they're playing with the cards they were dealt with.
Yeah.
Struggle with metaphors, or as Tommy refers to them as megaphors. Sayings, whatever, a for whatever you call those things.
Adages.
Yeah. Those smart things you say.
Brain words.
Yeah, brain words.
Brain words.
Not normal words.
I've had them. But yeah, it is interesting. Like, there's a level of humanity with every character. You've definitely tapped into like different like levels of your own psyche, the people around you psyche, the people you grew up around, these townies, everyone's a complex person at the end of the day, even if like the stereotypes are real, like
a lot of times the stereotypes are real, but I guess when people complain about if you use stereotypes in comedy, but like stereotypes are just one like section. And what I wanted to do, like we're showing the stereotypes, but we're also showing everything else that makes a person a person.
Exactly, and I think honestly both are important.
Yeah, you got to address what people are seeing. You can't just say like there is no cigar when there is a cigar.
No, exactly. Well, you can't here's the thing, like people are kind of trained nowadays not to generalize at all, and which is just impossible. Like I think that's just part of being alive, It's just like if anything, I take it as like a job to like unpack, It's just like I meet somebody, I'm like, you remind me of A, B, C, D, and E, but now it's time to actually get to know you,
Yeah, so I always kept that in mind in how I built these skits. A lot of times there's just character development. I want you to know a character, so we can
you taught me a lot about that. Like that's one thing.
We can start peeling, and you see that in 2019, I believe it was in February, where Squeaks goes into Dottie's house. I think it's called like Cowls and Dental Floss.
Yeah.
And you liked it a lot because I think you commented, and I'm glad someone said it. It's like, you did a good job in kind of encapsulating the Irish-American psyche.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was just going to get into.
So that's a big part because that's the culture James and I are a part of, and that's the McGarveys. I wanted to, not to do like a cartoonish Irish-American thing that you see a lot on social media.
But to be fair, Irish-Americans are cartoonish.
Oh, they're fair. I mean, it's like, but I wanted to show like, the dynamics, because even though Dottie gives off this kind of gruff pit bull of a character, I mean, she's mostly pit bull except for the head, but
literally mostly pit bull.
And she, gripes about her dunderhead son, but she can't say like, I miss him, or heaven forbid, I love him.
Oh.
But like, she makes sure Squeaks sends him the dental floss and the cowl that she knit him.
And then later on, actually, this might have been going on during that, the porch meet.
The porch. Yeah, that's like that's the only way she can really show love, as much as there's so much violence, how much she's like verbally and physically beat him up, as you can see in the skit Family McGarvey, one of my favorite skits.
Yeah.
That's it, but the porch meet. So Tommy decides to go out in the marsh to find the Sonking Marsh, which how is he going to feed himself? So Dottie, and we're in front of that set right now, in front of Dottie's triple decker, but she would lay out the slices of deli meat, and he would go and get that. You do see that once in the 2017 Sonhonkettt fundraiser skit.
Yeah.
And later on in 2022 in the summer, Squeaks is rapping about the porch meat. That porch meat life,
Yeah, no, exactly. No, he was squeaking on the meat, but He also did he deliver the meat at that point? I feel like
Sometimes he does. Squeaks is it's so like how so when James came along was like I had to like give him a prompt like who is Squeaks and it was like well you know in Looney Tunes there's like the big dog and the little dog and the little dog is just like the yes man, the hype man to the big dog. Like sure boss, I'll do anything you say boss. And so yeah, that's what Squeaks essentially is. And Squeaks means well. He's such a nice guy, but as my sister Jill says, like, she's impressed that fucking dumb Tommy found someone dumber than him.
somehow, some way.
Someone dumber than him to do all his biddings.
And it's so fulfilling for Squeaks too. Like it is his purpose, and that's something. This is funny to say, but like he's a fictional character, but that's something I've been like jealous of Squeaks for within my journey of finding myself, man. Because like,
where's my 617 Rage, which is the rap name of Tommy McGuire.
Well, I've also learned that like I want to do my own thing and not be that, but I don't because I had my history. Like I kind of took over Squeaks. You know, Squeaks was already a character that was like in development, and like I very much took parts of my own personality. Both some I'm proud of, some I'm very much not proud of, or just things I've worked on as a person. You know, where he's a born hype man. Once again, he's a drug addict and everything. Once again, that just comes with the territory of growing up around here. Quick segue. I had a thought today where it's like Sonhonkett's ending at like a time where like how do I put this? Fentanyl didn't hit Squeaks. like this is ending at a good time, I think, for him because there's no way he would survive to 2025, dude. Not to get too real here, but just to finish what I was saying, I just mean that Squeaks like represents like a part of me that like I grew up with, trying to like seek validation from people, and like I've always been a bit of a creative, but like never felt good enough to be like the main guy in something, you know, and he's kind of a manifestation of that, you know. But he's the little brother of Sonhonkettt almost too, where he's everywhere, always looking for attention, and he just keeps going, dude. Like he doesn't stop.
He has a ball of energy, and he's relatively new, because it was suggested like Tommy needs like a sidekick, a hype man, and I thought about it, and then I met James, and I was like, I'm feeling it. I'm going to give him, so it was in September of 2018 I made it, and that October was the first time, Squeaks was brought to screen, and brilliant. I love the little detail of you taking your earpods and putting it into his ears, because that, like, and my sister Jill loved that. It's like, James doesn't have the money for those things. How the fuck does Squeaks like?
Look, people drop shit on the ground, man. Squeaks is also the metal detector of Sonhonkettt.
Which is perfect. It was such a perfect, and I think that's the only skit where you're wearing that. But like, those little details matter. And his hat, perfect. I found it at Walmart.
Perfect.
It's got the Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd album.
And like he doesn't know who Pink Floyd is,
no.
but it is his favorite non-rap album, probably. Yeah, dude, I've done hallucinogens.
There is something to like say about all these characters. I'm just trying to give as three-dimensional as I could, and I wanted to continue more, but through a variety of reasons, I feel like I have to kind of move on with Sonhonkettt. But I did my best to try to like get go as deep into each and every character as possible. Yeah, because even characters like Bernie Smock, who's very well off, he did inherit his Ottoman fortune, the Ottoman business from his father, but he has his own issues as well, like just kind of not knowing how to deal with his wife and kind of...
Don't get me started.
Beverly Smock, the salamander that always needs a certain percentage of humidity in the air, but that's where he reconnects with his high school buddy Ronnie, where they had a band back then called Guns N' Needles, the leading tribute band to Guns N' Roses for the North Shore.
Another thing I took inspiration from in my personal life. You know, my uncle used to make jokes like that about like old bands, like be like AC/DC. It's like AC/DC drugs, like like just puns and everything.
Yeah.
So Guns and Needles, Guns and Roses, more like Guns and Needles. Am I right? So fucking here we are.
There's other characters. I want to make sure. So there's other also like non-towny characters. So I'll start off with, I think Yuppies, the Yuppersons. There's Conrad and Claire, and Conrad's a weasel, an actual animal weasel, and and Claire is a human.
Arguably, but yes.
And they kind of represent, just a force that exists in New England, especially in the city. It's the dominant one, I argue now, but it also helps. I wanted to have more demographics. It's just so difficult recruiting people to get all these different characters performed, but it acts kind of like different demographics of people when they encounter each other. They both kind of act. They both kind of heighten each other's kind of identity, meaning that you're able to find out who they are in juxtaposition. Is that fancy word?
I was holding back from using it.
You're able to see who they are, this is kind of exemplified in, I think this is skit number. Can't remember the number, but it came out in 2019 in March with Literal Lillian. So Literal Lillian only appears once. She's the niece of Claire Yupperson, young chick, fresh out of Schmidmore College. She has a degree in, I believe it's called genderless teapot polishing theory. And she's very interested in the progressive politics and ideology. And she takes everything literally. And that's what those types of people like to do with comedy, just take it literally.
Yeah.
But that interaction where she visits the Yuppersons, they just bought this Victorian era triple decker that they just masturbate over, literally. They master, because that's what Yuppies.
They rub out to
to
it, to the architecture.
This upsets Dottie because she had to deal with this suffocating Charlestown. One of the reasons why she moved to Sonhonkettt. But anyhow, their repairman is Charlie Nolan, and Charlie Nolan's a handyman. But the interaction of all those characters kind of shows no one is really correct or living the better life, both however you want to look at philosophically or whatever. I wanted to show everyone's flaws.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard. We kind of want to cast judgments
evenly,
Yeah, evenly, because I think Yuppies and Literal Lillian types want to feel that they're correct and they have the correct words.
And I think a lot of the time that is, if not most of the time, that is based in wanting to be a good person, even if it's completely warped. I do believe, at the end of the day, it's just, they're doing what they think is correct, or at least flexing to do.
But a lot of times these people live they do terrible things.
Oh, absolutely.
As well. There's a spectrum.
And they just beat down the same
and
people
just
that they
because
think
somebody
defending.
is not formally educated or maybe uses an outdated term or has outdated ideas, these people, those people can also be their actions actually carry out morality as opposed to, which is more of a big thing with me that I wanted to hit, the facades that people put up. And ultimately, I think it's what you do that matters. That is what life is, and that's what a person is your actions. Yeah, you see that with Scups. He seems like a wreck and, very kind of lost in his own kind of self-pity and depression. But he is a good soul.
Absolutely. No, he's, he might be the moral compass of the whole party,
He's probably that, and Charlie is, close.
Yeah, true. Well, Charlie, if anything, is the narrator,
So Charlie Nolan, he does a bit of everything because of his...
He's a handyman.
He's a handyman. He'll lay hardwood, he'll tile roofs, he'll do a bit of carpentry, little this, little that. Also, every fifth Thursday near the Coppola Bocce field, he runs a ferry in his dinghy. Just pay him half.
Oh, yeah.
Six cans of Gansets, and it'll ferry you from North Sonhonkettt to South Sonhonkettt. But Charlie is kind of the quintessential townie, and he captures what I wanted to show in this show, the Tao of the townie.
Well put.
So this is what I'm getting to, the Tao. The Tao is an ancient Chinese philosophy, and it literally translates as the way. And a lot of living life and just kind of understanding life and trying to be a good person is just to be, to don't resist and kind of just go with the flow. It's hard to, I know this sounds like a lot of vague words and descriptions, but I feel like that's where townies for me hit it the best. They accept what they have, relatively speaking, and in their situation, sure, they may not be the most or well-read or well-traveled or certified, and they are who they are. Yeah. They do put up some facades, but on the whole, they're very transparent. It's a transparent culture, and that honesty, I think, is very key in living kind of a soulfully balanced life.
I was just gonna say, it definitely represents like the checks and balances of people living together. There needs to be not need to be all cliche or whatever, but like it needs to be a fall before a rise. You need to go through some shit to get better. You need to be bad to get good. Or good to get bad.
They don't pretend.
Man.
I'm talking deeper, like to have all the answers. Now, I'm not saying there are opinionated townies. I mean, you see them at every Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, if anything, they're mostly opinions.
But deeper, if you dig deeper, like in there, I'm talking about judging by their lives.
Yeah, well, I mean, Scups might even be the best example of
this. Yeah, they are who they are, and they don't. I think a lot of people that want to seem like they have their shit together, whether it's the paycheck, the career, the outfits, what they say, they want to seem they're the most intelligent, they're the most enlightened, but a lot of it is just not true. A lot of those people are very tortured inside, and they create that tragedy, and that tragedy kind of eats away at them. What I like about blue collar people is they go straight to work as a youth, and there's no when you see more, especially in the city, this kind of getting educated academically forever, so worried about the world and just kind of outside things, where it's good to be mindful. I'm all for that, but there comes a point where you need to worry about your own life and get,
or just be in the moment, appreciate the experiential aspect of your life, not having the right thoughts or opinions or whatever, just having an okay time.
Yeah, because I think ultimately characters like Charlie, they know they don't have control over a lot.
Just the can in their hand.
Yeah, just the can in their hand. Yeah, watching the Pats game. Yeah, they don't. Charlie's very mellow. He's never angry. I purposely had him never swear. Not that he's opposed to it, but he's just.
No, but I know the kind, man. I know those guys. They keep, even though they drive drunk everywhere, they have a value. They really do have a value system.
He does. He gives cheap rent to his tenants.
It's just pay what you can. It's what I need.
And I like that saying, "It is what it is," which a lot of, I notice, cerebral people get so upset at that. Well, that's just stupid. No, it's beautiful. It's not redundant. It's philosophically, I think, perfect, and it is Taoism.
It's cutting out the fat.
Yeah.
It's just... No, exactly. It just is what it is. Don't overthink it, And if you do, fine, but you don't have to fucking torture yourself with the fucking nuances of life all the time,
Yeah, you can just... Because a lot of it is these... Here's a metaphor, a megaphor. These sets, it's just a facade. They're not... This isn't real, James.
What?
What do you mean? It's just cardboard on a PVC pipe frame.
Yeah, dude, I love PVC. No, yeah. But such is life, man. This is all just a playground, and we're playing fucking adulthood, and these buildings, we're all just dust at one point, But seriously.
So that's what Charlie means to me in this last skit, which I won't talk too much about. I want you guys to watch it. It's just called A Day in the Life of Charlie Nolan, skit number 77. Yeah, just kind of his simplicity is something that I've always like looked up to, and what I think townies can do very well.
Something I didn't appreciate growing up, like my uncle. I have an Uncle John who reminds me of Charlie. I don't know if I've ever even talked to you about him. He's the handyman of the neighborhood. He lucked into marriage, where he gets to just drink beer all day and fix stuff, hang out. He was always working on a window for some reason, like in my house, and he'd fucking hurt his hand and call the window a fucking communist or something. Heart of gold, though. Every time I see him, it warms my heart. But, I didn't appreciate that growing up. I was like, oh, that's just Uncle John, crazy, yelling at windows. But, he was, a necessary component of my childhood. He, got shit done, And he kind of did teach me in hindsight. I'm just thinking of this now that, just enjoy the ride, man,
Other characters on the show? I'm just trying to make sure I hit all of them. Oh, yeah, so there's... another townie would be Lawrence Schimmel. So Lawrence Schimmel is an objectophile that's someone who's sexually attracted to inanimate objects, and he's a registered sex offender.
Oh yeah, he's one of my least favorite characters. Not very creative, very well done, but just you know what you did.
So yeah, just living in houses and seeing these kind of from the 1960s. They're people live in them, but they should be abandoned.
Yeah.
He inherited from his mother, and he works. He has a gig with Verizon where he can just work at home because he's not really allowed to leave the house.
Okay.
But who Nest?
He really knows the product.
Oh yeah, and who he's just very angry and just he'll just break out. Lot of.
Very pent up.
Yeah, very pent up. That's a very multi-layered.
Well, I mean, when you're an objectophile, it's a hard life, literally and figuratively. You need to be blind to live a normal life.
But nesting in his garbage barrels out front is a character I created. So I created a lot of characters before settling on Sonhonkettt. One is this kind of opossum-based weird thing that's kind of based off of... Big inspiration is Thornton Burgess, which I never talked to you about. He was from Sandwich, Massachusetts, which is in the Cape, and he was born late 19th century. He wrote books until the early 60s, but he had all these anthropomorphic animal characters, and it was all just little stories, children's stories, but that to me was the folklore that meant so much to me and captured New England culture so well. So Jasper Jenkins is a demented version of that.
Oh yeah.
So he lives in the garbage barrels of front of Lawrence Schimmel's house. He's from Missoula, Arkaloma. So I wanted an outsider, someone not from New England. And Missoula, Arkaloma is where Missouri meets Arkansas and Oklahoma. It's you don't know if it's the South, you don't know it's the Midwest, you don't know it's the West. It's that, let's be honest, we think Springfield, Massachusetts is that.
Yeah, that's the meme.
Yeah. West of Worcesterland, the barbarians, as we say.
Exactly, there be dragons.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a drifter, and he comes into Sonhonkettt and he nestles there because he's kind of allowed to, because where else is he going to sleep? And also he creates business for Lawrence Schimmel, because Lawrence Schimmel got a hold of a Charlie card machine where you can put money on your Charlie card. The public transportation pass.
Don't you go up, wow.
And Jasper brings people there because he sells drugs to make money. And he uses this money. Now, he doesn't touch drugs. He's a purist. He just sticks to inhalants.
Yes.
He is an inhalant... Sommelier, yeah. He's into the...
Sommelier. I can't do the voice.
the connoisseurship of... He can really appreciate all the layers in a 1998 Sherwin-Williams paint thin. And believe me, he can distinguish a 98 from a 97 paint thinner. So he's connected though to Sonhonkettt. Now I just gave him that name, But I ended up finding out there were 17 families that settled the Rumney Marsh. One of them was Jenkins.
Okay. So
And,
I see the connection here.
yeah, and the Sonking Marsh witch, before she turned into a witch, her name was Abigail Georgina Jenkins.
Bum, bum, bum.
So that's connection is talked about. You can find out more from the 4-part miniseries I did last year in 2023 called The Shift. You find out that whole thing was Jasper Jenkins and the Sonking Marsh Witch.
Good trip, man. He was metaphysically connected to Sonhonkettt.
So you needed that because that's where everyone got their beans.
Of course, yes.
Pills, as we say.
Squeaks
over
would
here.
be nothing.
Yeah.
Or something.
There's also Chuck Jonesboro, who
Oh, yes.
purposely has no backstory. He just walked into Sonhonkettt, and he has a legitimate lawyer face.
Which many people compliment him on, or just point it out, because
It's just very impressive.
it is very
And that goes back, and it goes back to facades.
Because he's like an alien, basically. Like
He's a monster,
yeah.
but he's got this, like, he tore off someone's face and wrapped it around his head.
And he's lived in various sheds and
And he wears, like, a suit that's a little too, it's very 1970s with the like, elongated, like, pointy collars.
yeah.
And
He actually looks
it's
like
polyester, too.
he actually looks like an old school like ventriloquist dummy. Like he's like the only character that has that kind of like yeah, see like feel to it.
And yeah, so that was supposed to represent we have to put on the facade, even though we clearly see that when someone is putting on the facade, it is a facade. There's a monster, not just underneath; it's right there.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just the
with him,
nice,
could use the bigger face.
the quote unquote nice face, the legitimate lawyer face is up here.
Well, that was one of the first things like once I got involved with Sonhonkettt that like really resonated with me. I was like, this is fucking hilarious, you know, like because lawyers are, you know,
Because we don't even really talk about lawyer stuff because I don't know jack shit about lawyering.
Me
But
neither.
that's like it's not the point because no one really knows if he's a lawyer. He does have a commercial in front of a nice desk.
Well, it's like true, but without commenting on every lawyer, there are some very weaselly lawyers out there who are, you know, they'll take a bribe or two here and there, be swayed politically or something. But without getting into all that, this guy's just a monster. He's probably, if he is actually a lawyer, he's probably the worst of the worst.
And he lives in the shed where behind the triple decker where the McGarveys live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. And then
No, he really doesn't like the porch meat situation.
No.
I remember it was abutting his law firm. But yeah, no, he's definitely like of all the, you know, like with gentrification and all,
Yeah.
like with the Uppersons moving in and all these like people that the townies can perceive as negative. He's the worst, probably.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's the most unrelatable.
I liked how just something that was very random.
Yeah. Well, the show has a few of that, but him,
Yeah.
that is.
And of course, there were so many more characters I wanted to include in the show, but we have. Fortunately, Sonhonkettt had to come to an end. I'm trying to think if there's anything I haven't covered. So yeah, there's the set building, which I have no background in, and I tinkered a little bit in school. I didn't really have a lot of videos to present. I had a few, but I just started. But that's what I used to graduate Mass Art. I got our scholarship because of Sonhonkettt, and I used that to help pay for my degree. I just want to get to the point out there. Like, I don't know a lot of things, but I just kept trying. I'm like Dottie. I have that pit bull grip. I just have that tenacity, and I just won't let go. Which you can see many times when they're grabbing whoever.
And you do have like Squeaks's figurative chin, you know, where take it, get back up, take it, get back up, you know.
Yeah, so Sonhonkettt just, it means a lot to me. It's like, no matter what, because I had to make a lot of life sacrifices in life to get this show up. It's easy to kind of dismiss it as, or my life. Oh, you're playing with puppets. That's nice and fun. And no, it's not. It's puppeteering is draining. It's very physically intensive. You try holding your arm up
Oh yeah.
above your head for more than a minute. It's gonna hurt. I don't care how.
Like, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, but I'm out of shape. My arm still hurts.
Trying to hit the major. Yeah, we got Charlene with Chelsea and Lynn. We got the Smocks, Bernie and his wife Beverly. So Bernie's based off of Ernie Bach Jr. Who
Yes.
It started with his grandfather, opened up a car dealership that became one of the most successful, not in New England, but the country. The dad, Ernie Bach Sr., had his commercials, and then there's Ernie Bach Jr., who went to Berkeley, did his own band, and so that's what I used to kind of base off of Bernie.
Ernie and the Automatics,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. That those
Everything you're
people.
looking for.
And yeah, they would play these commercials. So these commercials are kind of iconic of the New England experience.
They're ingrained in my back of my fucking skull, dude. I've seen them live a couple times. I don't know if you have.
No.
My mom used to take me downtown Boston by the Charles River. We have a big outdoor hat show where there would be like free live performances during the summer and everything. And he was a mainstay there.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So I just happened upon him a couple times. I have no comment on his music. I just remember it's one of those times where I'm just happy to be able to say I saw him. You know,
The drum is a character. He's like,
Like
I forget
actually?
yeah, like I'll show you later. There's like
God.
there's like he was on he co-hosted with this radio guy,
Okay.
Armenian. I want to say he's from Watertown, but quite a towny character. He just passed away a few years ago. I forget his name now.
R.I.P.
Yeah, there's that. We got Ronnie. We got Tommy. Hit all the major.
You might have covered this.
Yeah, I covered almost every. There's little other characters on the show. There's like
Officer Wolfberg.
yeah, Officer Wolfberg, who wasn't around that long.
He was gone by the time I got involved.
Yeah, he only appeared in one skit, and then he did the live shows. Oh yeah, we did live shows called
Oh, yeah.
Treaters. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that was fucking.
that was a whole thing, and I did that. I called
Those
them
are fun.
Yeah, and I did those because I wanted to treat all the performers. Like, you guys worked hard, so like let's put on a show for everyone. And then I thought, hey, we can use that to get people interested in Sonhonkettt. So we did some live shows at the Dorchester Art Project. I first started at Santarpio's. It was just
That's amazing.
it was a comedy roast. There was no puppets.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really fun. I'm not much of a live performer, so I kind of stopped with that. I decided, well, I can't do live in video, so I'm just going to stick to video, but ultimately the choice was the pandemic.
Yeah.
The pandemic kind of affected people's lives, and people had to kind of move on with other things. But Sonhonkettt, in terms of production value, did go up. I learned to work with green screen and just get better at learning how to edit, because I have no professional training in that stuff. But yeah, it's been a great learning experience doing this show. It's something I dreamt about since I was a little child, because, so Chuck Jonesboro, he was inspired.
I don't like that transition.
He was inspired by a character I created with my little sister Jill. We used to play with Beanie Babies,
Oh, okay.
and sometimes Beanie Babies would get in trouble with the law,
Of course.
so they would have to go to court. And we would build all the furniture we made out of VHS tapes. So we had the jury, where the judge sat, and
That's cute.
the defense, and
It's also a little concerning.
we didn't have all the characters we wanted, but I envisioned a housefly in a suit with a briefcase, and he was the lawyer, and his name was Bob Hoban. And Bob Hoban was the best. All the Beanie Babies loved. Like, wow, what an amazing guy. He knows everything. Yeah, that Bob Hoban.
that Bob Hoban.
Bob Hoban, yeah. So, and we wrote his name everywhere. Like, we had a dictionary that Ma opened years ago, and sometimes in books they say this belongs to in the ownership. So yeah, we wrote Bob Hoban.
Okay, so there's a long backstory to this one.
That started when I was 9. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to also Schnozzle.
Yeah, Schnozzle's the first full completed puppet I made, and I thought I fucked up. Like, he was supposed to be black and white. The dye came out purple, and I was like, oh, I screwed it up. I sewed it wrong. But then I essentially, like, ballooned animaled it, and I just pulled out something, and it came out pretty professional.
Honestly, great.
Yeah, like, for like, just starting at age 22, this is fucking, like, a long time ago. I'm trying to do the math on it. 14 years ago. Yeah, like 14, really long time ago, but yeah.
It's crazy, man.
And he's he owns a corner store, a corner spa, which is referenced in the last skit. You can see the sign.
Yeah, the lights going out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Sonhonkettt. So Sonhonkettt is about comedy. I wanted to also capture the New England sense of humor, the Boston sense of humor, because I grew up where people talked in punchlines, and that's how I had to train you guys.
Absolutely. Well,
Like-
that's what not horn tooting or anything, but that's what I was kind of built for with this, where, like, I used to say I speak fluently in good ones.
Yeah.
Not everyone agrees.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, that's where we hit it off immediately, though, I think. Like, because, a little more backstory, I found you on Craigslist.
Yeah.
I was unemployed, just trying to, boy in the big city, trying to get my life together, follow my dreams and all that. And, like, I was just like, oh, puppet townie comedy web series, I'll give this a shot.
Yeah.
We met up in Porter Square.
Yeah.
We just kind of started talking comedy and the whole thing. And I was like, oh, dude, like, I think we just vibe, like.
Yeah, and that's something that's just so hard in general in life, and especially
exactly.
doing this puppet show. Puppetry is not an established thing.
No.
Really. So it's like, and then you have to find somebody who has a sense of humor, at least, if not is a very funny person, then is on the same cultural wavelength. And that's so that's where you, like, rose to the top. You're just, like, made for this.
Just an understanding, and, I have no puppeteering experience besides this little pirate puppet story for another day that I grew up with. That my ex-girlfriends did not enjoy. I kept it. But yeah, it was like I said, just like an understanding, similar sense of humor, and like we said earlier, like, it's easy to make fun of Boston. Like, it's easy to, on a surface level, be like, yeah, fucking Pocket Con, Harvard Yard, next to the Donkeys kid, but, like,
in other words, to dismiss it.
Exactly, but once again, to unpack it, to really go in and see the lives of people and what they go through, the ups, the downs, the all-arounds and everything. It's fucking hilarious. Like, when you actually see it, like I said earlier, like, just hang around at a corner store for like 20 minutes and you'll get entertainment for the whole day.
It's I just think this region is just so interesting and worth, like, capturing. And
Great.
It starts with, like, how I grew up, and it's now changed a lot with our generation in terms of humor, but, like, that's just how our parents lived. It was just, you just, and that's part of dealing with the kind of the adversity of life. You kind of, quote unquote, put people in their place with your kind of one-line jokes.
Yeah.
And it is kind of rough, but it's also like,
I'll use the word dismissive again, like you said, like it can be. It's like, it's a yeah,
But like, these people, like, and a lot of these people, they're not writers, or, we live in an era where everyone and their nana wants to be a comedian, but they're not good with writing or comedy. And
dude, everyone just wants to go home.
Yeah.
that's the feel.
But like, a lot of townies, they're like some of the funniest people. They're so sharp, like,
absolutely. I met a
like even my mother, when I was looking for puppeteers, like, there was people who sent me, a lot of these were actors. They sent resumes with photos of headshots, and my mother,
References.
without missing a beat, goes, "Headshots? You want hand shots?"
Hey.
Yeah, and that's someone who's not an artist or a puppeteer. So I thought that was great, capturing that and just showing that. And also, like, you don't have to academy trained and fucking, like, to be, good at an art form. Like, a lot of art is already there. You just gotta, like, look for it.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
specifically with like puppeteering, just in my experience with this, it's just like just have some fun. That's really it, dude. Like we went up there, especially with this shit. I don't understand how people cannot have fun with this.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just putting your hand in the butt of a puppet. So first of all, feels great. Jokes, but then yeah, you just fucking follow little scripts, improvise here and there, try to create a character, and you know, fucking do a bad accent or a good accent. You know.
Yeah, it's about making art fun, and that's if you want to have an impact with your art, like yeah, get rid of the high and mighty attitude. Like art is just experiencing and making it is because you have some free time, and that in itself is a privilege. So enjoy yourself, and that's the point of Sonhonkettt. Like humor is this wonderful thing that I value so much because it's such a healing thing, and yeah, it's about being funny, surface level, and then also going deeper, and it's about storytelling, and
Yep.
it's about anthropology, and it's about creating. I've created a wonderful community. A lot of people have moved on their lives, but I'm hoping that they got something out of this.
I'd say easily.
Yeah, I think you got something like it. It's worth biting the bullet. Just go through some adversity. Just be focused, and good things can come about. And just challenge yourself. And through all the challenges that this show I've had to face with this show, it's it's made me a kind of a greater person. And I'm glad to have done it. I'm really it's one of my proudest accomplishments.
Should be proud.
And it's a dream to have my own comedy show, and I did it. Does that mean I will stop? No, but for now, I just have to kind of create that world. The Sonhonkettt just didn't pop up one day. It took many years.
It's
You could argue my entire life, but it's definitely taken at least 15 and a half.
But dude, in hindsight, A, that makes sense, but B, that's nuts. And
it's crazy, and I'm very crazy. To dedicate your life to putting on a puppet show is mad.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah.
I feel like that went without saying.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, there's a reason we get along.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, Craigslist puppets, yes. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I meet this guy? Yeah, man.
That's Sonhonkettt. I don't want to anymore because I a lot.
I do. Unfortunately, I
Yes.
would say. Yeah.
I don't want to bore you guys anymore, but yeah, that's Sonhonkettt. And you can find more about Sonhonkettt by going to sonhonkettt.com. It'll be on, the website will exist for another year, but so there are some more, there's a bit more bits of content. So there's this, and then I'm going to create a video, a YouTube video that will capture what's on sonhonkettt.com. Sonhonkettt.com gives you all the background info about the history, the town of Sonhonkettt.
Hey, gonna make a virtual tour there.
Yeah, a town that was, it was rooted in industry, novelty, vomit, and paperclip production.
Certainly.
Industry that lasted up to the mid 70s. And it gives you so there's like an about section that gives you that explains more about the Tao of the townie and the philosophy of why I created this show. The first opening homepage gives you kind of a background, and there's pictures, and then if you go to the portfolio, that shows a picture, that shows a whole series, like a photo album of all the puppets, and it gives you a description, their who they are and their back history and how they interrelate with other characters. Please check that out, really interesting. But I'm also taking all that and putting into one YouTube video. It'll have all the pictures, and I'll be talking over it, describing each little thing. Because as I said, the Sonhonkettt website is only up for like another year and a half.
I think you should incorporate Charlie's dinghy into this. Like I said, like a tour.
Oh, yeah.
The Sonhonkettt site. Maybe it crashes. Who knows?
Yeah, through the Rumney River, the river that separates North Sonhonkettt and South Sonhonkettt. So I want to thank everybody for participating in this show, for watching the show, for talking about it. We've had fundraisers, because I do believe in paying the people that participate in this show. yeah, this, I don't want to get emotional, but this, this meant a lot. And I am continuing on with other puppet projects. Don't worry. So follow all the social media and the YouTube. We're going to do other comedy skits. That's in the making. And I'm also going to do fantasy stuff as well because I like stories and folklore stuff. And I'm open to all sorts of things. So please follow me. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm there.
Hell yeah.
And yes, James will be a part of it. And James does stand up, so if you're in Boston,
I'm a professional open micer currently.
Yeah.
You can find me under the stage name James Rubin until I grow some balls. Or at least until people realize I'm Jewish. Then I'll feel safe again. But if it's all right with you, Kyle, I wrote a little ditty. If you're okay with this.
Yeah, are you singing or Squeaks is?
I'm gonna do my best. I haven't done the character in a while, but I'm gonna try.
Oh wait, folks. So yeah, we're gonna a little song here because Sonhonkettt has a lot of music in it, both instrumental and oral.
Oh, a lot of oral.
Yeah.
No, but this is a Squeak style. This isn't like this. This isn't totally fitting for the ending of this podcast. It's just a little thing I wrote. I wanted to do the character one more time.
Yeah.
So, do you want to try beatboxing?
I'm terrible. What I'll do it in post.
Perfect. All right. All right. Squeaks. Yo. It's good to be back. Sonhonkettt. Wrote a little thing. Just want to put this out for the people. R.I.P. Tommy. Squeaks. Master of the motherfucking beats. Blaster of the motherfucking skeets. Pleased to meet. Now give me some beans. My best friend's dead, but I'm still feeling fine. Master rapper, but I don't always rhyme. Either way, it's always on clock. Hey, hey, what's up, doc? I'm a tune loonier than dudes on Blues Clues, chewing through some glue from 1992. A hiney hoo to you and your crew, looking to party with the shoddy, with the shoddy Glock in 22. Born inside a wall, I still ball on y'all's favorite rapper. Mine just happens to be dead inside a marsh. Not to be harsh or heavy, my homie's dead and buried, so I've been eating berries that are giving me a rash. Sonhonkett's where I'm from, and it's probably where I'll go. Just know that my flow will be heard at Kona Stoves, for sure. Shout out Sonhonkettt, 2008 through 2020. What's the year? Have a good night.
Got a real Shakespeare here.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.